Mariah's diary. I felt like a kid again, caught doing something bad. My heart is still racing. He came out of nowhere, scaring me half to death. It was as if he knew what I was feeling. I thought of him and he manifested, making my innermost feelings naked. I was so scared I dropped you, diary. In fact, I think I literally threw you to the ground in the heat of the moment. Oh, and when he came closer, I thought my heart would burst from my chest. I was so scared. Being near him, it was frightening. This was not the heartless man from the platform. He seemed happier today. Seeing him now versus when he ignored me at the railway station feels so drastically different. He seemed soulless then. I wonder if he even realizes his friend slammed into me. How could he not, when my papers and drawings were flying past his feet? But here, he seems like a different person, and it scares me. What could make someone act like that and not even recall a moment so bizarre? Shaurya is a baffling man. Maybe I should rethink my actions. I don't know what to do. Part of this reminded me of my past. Perhaps that's where the fear came from, and worse, the irrational reaction. Shaurya he hasn't exactly been hurtful to me. I can't be mad at a person who can't even remember what happened. Still, something about him brings up old wounds and I can't stand it. I came here to wash away those feelings, yet they rear their ugly head every time I see Shaurya. It frightens me to even be close to someone again, and maybe I fear becoming friends with Shaurya. 12. Mariah's diary. Today was an interesting day. Auntie asked me to go to Shaurya's place. His mom has wallpaper in her room that Auntie loves and would like to have in her own bedroom after the renovation. I'd met Shaurya's mom once before when she came over to visit to see the work done so far, but I was still a little scared to go alone, to be honest. However, Shaurya's mom is so sweet and gentle. I was happy to see Shaurya wasn't home. The wallpaper in her room was interesting. I made sure to sketch it out since I hadn't seen that pattern before, not even in the large stores back in Mumbai. When I told her I was done, she insisted I look at the wallpaper in Shaurya's bedroom. She wouldn't take no for an answer, and anyway, Auntie had made it clear that if I could take a look at all the rooms, I should bring some sketches back to her. Shaurya's room wasn't what I expected. I would have imagined it to be more reflective of someone studious, with stacks of books everywhere and motivational posters all over his walls. Instead, I found nothing more than an organized bookshelf and a single empty frame on the wall. Besides that, I was surprised to see photography magazines, CDs, and a camera by his bed. I asked his mom what the empty frame signified. She smiled, saying Shaurya wanted to take some course in photography or movie making a few years ago. She said she couldn't remember the exact word for what it was he wanted to do, but he had wanted to go to Mumbai. She and his father hadn't agreed with the idea, so the plan had been dropped. She said, "It's been a long time now since he gave up on the idea. I don't even know why he has this empty frame on his wall. He never answers me when I ask." I suddenly thought of Shaurya's look when he was at the railway station. Was this why he was watching the train to Mumbai in that strange way? He seemed so broken standing there. I suppose I should ask Kasturi, or even Shaurya himself about it, and the way I acted the last time I saw him, telling him to stay away. I was wrong. I should get to know him better before I judge him so harshly. It's not fair to assume my problems are far greater than his. 13. Shaurya. March was in full stride, the sun warm, the wind still cool, the perfect time to soak up any outdoor time before summer's flames broiled into life. Enjoying the walk home, I slowed down at the sound of hammers and drilling. I was about to pass Kasturi's place, but Mariah was sitting out on the front steps. She was talking to one of the contractors, sketches and pencils scattered across the stoop next to her. Taking a deep breath, I aimed to walk past without acknowledging her. The hiss of her words was still in my mind. "Stay away from me." "Can you get the tiles in that color?" Mariah's voice reached my ears as I drew closer. "And if possible, some accent pieces to imitate this sketch?" I think we can, nodded the man in the hard hat. I'll bring some samples with me tomorrow. We still have to finish the demolition of the old tiles and prep it for laying the new ones. Perfect. The man left and Mariah's eyes fell on me. Shorya! I flinched, turning slowly to face her. Hey, I'm sorry for the other day, she sighed, her eyes darting to the ground as her cheeks flushed. The way I acted, I don't know what came over me. I am sorry. It's all right. I could tell from her voice she was hiding something from me, but I mustered a smile to ease her discomfort. I didn't mean to startle you. It's not every day I come running into the terrace like that. It's a new place and, well, a man rushing towards you would be frightening, I suppose. Her voice lowered. Thank you. Wanting to shift the awkward mood, I looked beyond her to the open door where workers were going in and out. So, how's the work going? Her eyes met mine, and she peered over her shoulder. Pretty good. Kasturi said your art is amazing. I stopped myself from stepping closer, in fear of repeating what had happened the last time. May I see what you're working on? Yes. She motioned for me to come closer and I sighed in relief. Here, this is what I am working on right now. Oh, still working on the kitchen? I asked, marveling over the skill with which images had been drawn across the pages. Yes, we picked out counters and appliances, but now I need to figure out the tile work for the backsplash. She pointed to a page filled with mock tile patterns and various combinations. See? These were some of the ones Auntie Kasturi and I were thinking about. I like this one. I pointed to a blue and white design with accent pieces reminiscent of my mom's willow pattern china. The accent pieces are a nice touch of the old. That's what Kasturi was thinking. I couldn't stop the heat rising in my cheeks at being in tune with Kasturi's own likes. In fact, she loves drinking tea, and if we can find something like some of her teapots and cups, it would make for a nice touch. I can't wait to see this when it's done. I smiled, happy that we were both relaxed now. Your artwork is nice, Mariah. Even though these are technical in the way you lay them out, the strokes on top of that are very organic and pleasing. You should frame these afterwards as a memento to them coming to life. I might do that, she laughed. But Kasturi may snatch them up and put them in an album with before and after pictures. Very true. Sensing that the conversation was ending, I decided to leave on a good note. Well, Mariah, I need to head home and study. I'll probably see you on the terrace at some point. Nodding, she waved. Take care, Shaurya. 14. Anubhav. Bangalore. The voice over the phone felt shallow and disconnected. Mr. Anubhav, this is Inspector Shiv. I regret to inform you that your parents are dead. The person at the other end waited respectfully for me to say something. Hearing my gasp, he continued. They were in a car accident near Bangalore City Railway Station. We have to wait for the official investigation, but right now, it looks like the tires of their vehicle skid because of the rain and their car rammed into a speeding truck. By the time the ambulance arrived, they had both passed on. No, I gasped. This can't be. Where are my parents? I am coming. I'm sorry for your loss. He waited for me to catch my breath before continuing. The bodies have been taken for the post-mortem now, and you can take them for the funeral tomorrow morning. The word bodies pierced my heart. I thought back to our last conversation. My parents had been asking me to come home for years, for my birthday, for holidays. Just a quick trip home, my mom had said over and over. I could picture her wringing her hands while my dad grumbled in the background to leave me alone. Then he would take the phone from her. I would hear him muttering to her, "Leave him alone, he'll come back when he can." And then he would clear his throat as though wiping away any trace of sadness he felt at my not coming home. And he would tell me how proud he was of me. "Keep working hard. Keep following your dreams, son. Your mom and I can come visit you when we're able to get away." Finally, they were coming to see me. I didn't go to them. I made them come to me. And now, they were gone. I grabbed my chest, struggling to breathe. I asked them to come here and I sent them to their graves. I should have canceled the meeting. I should have gone to pick them up at the station instead of sending a cab. "Mr. Anupov." The voice struggled to capture my dissolving attention. "It was an accident. No one could have." My knees buckled. I dropped my phone. The reality that I was alone, completely alone, rattled through my soul as I sank to the floor. They were supposed to be joining me for dinner. I invited them to Bangalore, and they had promised, so there wasn't much fuss about me going to Jaipur. If I had gone to them, over and over, I played it in my mind. If I had gone, it could be me dead instead of them. It should have been me. They had each other, whereas I was alone. No other family to turn to and no one to hold my hand or a shoulder to cry on. I felt the sting of reality stabbing my soul. My dream had consumed me, denied me the desire to pursue a life with another person, or even friends. I'm not sure when or how, but reality quickly dissolved into some strange, twisted state of existence. Why hadn't I dropped everything to go home? What was there for me anymore? I didn't eat or sleep. I only wanted to make the pain go away. In lonely desperation, I looked for answers in a bottle of whiskey. I heard my dad's words again and again as I wandered the streets, pain and numbness warring in my heart. "I'm proud of you, son." My colleagues arranged for the funeral the next day, and I found myself in front of the bodies of my parents for the final rituals. I barely remember stumbling at the cemetery, but suddenly I was aware of the shadows around me. The alcohol bottle in my pocket hit the pavement with a dull clunk and reminded me of my broken heart. The noise caught the attention of the priest who hurried toward me. "Anubhav, you're drunk," he whispered, trying to get me to look him in the eyes. "This is no way to honor the lives of your parents." Drunk and angry, I shoved his hand off my shoulder. How dare he try to tell me how to live my life when I should have ended up in the ditch, somewhere between Bangalore and Jaipur. "Their death is my fault." Sighing, the priest grabbed me by my shoulders. "It was not your fault. Destiny took them when it saw fit. As with everyone, losing both parents is hard. You have been given a heavy burden. Please, Anubhav, sit, be calm." I railed at his sympathetic gestures. "You don't know what it feels like to be me." Again, I tried to shove his hands from me, but the world tilted and I fell to the ground. If I hadn't asked. "I'm sorry, Anubhav." In my glassy view, I took in that he was motioning for my colleagues. "For your sake and theirs, I will not let you continue to disgrace yourself here." Two of my colleagues hooked an arm each, dragged me outside the cemetery and dropped me home. I sobbed uncontrollably, something that became a new daily routine for me. My life after that was a series of blinks. I only opened my eyes long enough to make sure I had made it to a bar or to a bottle to wash away my despair. The funeral was a drunken blur, the rituals a mirage, and my life a distant dream. I had spent my whole life up to this point wanting to make my parents proud of me, only to shame them in their death. The priest's words haunted me. How shamefully I had acted there in that state. 15. Shaurya. Jaipur. Over 2 weeks had gone by since the last time I went to the movies. Up until this point, Friday was a weekly ritual to see the new big release or something comparable. Pacing my room, I looked at the empty frame on my wall. I should see if Kasturi would like to go, I thought. We had such a great conversation at the cafe, and we seemed to have similar taste in movies. Nodding to myself, I grabbed my phone and dialed her number without hesitation. "Hello?" I said, overcome with happiness that she had answered. "Kasturi, it's Shaurya." My heart raced with excitement. "You want to go to the movies?" Maria can come along as well if she wants. I suppose she hasn't been out much since she's been here. "Oh, absolutely!" I could feel Kasturi's smile through her voice. "Let me ask Maria if she wants to come. She's been working non-stop, so this is a good chance for her to take a break. Just let me know, okay?" My grin was wide. "Send a text and I'll book the tickets." "All right, I'll message you when I get her answer." Hanging up, I lay back on my bed, flipping through a magazine I had bought a couple of days back. This one featured only black and white photography. I loved how, despite the lack of color, the photographers still managed to capture emotion and nuances. Models' eyes still dug deep into your soul with lighting techniques that were able to capture moods and atmosphere. Glancing at my camera, I sighed in frustration. I hadn't touched it in a while. My phone chirped and danced on my nightstand. It was Kasturi. It was set. I would be booking 3 tickets. I texted back, smiling wide, as I let her know the time and place. She replied as quickly as I had, asking if I would meet them in front of the theater, as they planned to come directly from a shopping mall. Excited, I grabbed my wallet and keys and headed out. We all made it there on time, and Maria seemed to be feeling better. At least she didn't seem to be acting weird anymore. The lights were dimming as we took our seats, the room darkening as the audience fell silent. As the title sequence started, I let myself be absorbed in the images in front of me. Throughout the film, I could hear Kasturi and Maria murmuring beside me, chit-chatting too low for it to drown out the movie's own sounds. Regardless, it didn't bother me, and Kasturi knew I loved movies to the point that I never carried on a conversation during one. If it had anything to do with me, she would ask after the movie was over. Like coming up to the surface for air, the lights came on in the room, and the audience all vibrated with movement once more. Stretching my arms up, I felt like I had gotten back a little piece of myself. 2 weeks was far too long between movies. "That was fantastic!" I looked to them, wondering if they felt the same. "Yes!" Kasturi stood and then held her stomach with a grimace. "But I'm starving! Can we go grab a bite to eat?" Laughing, I nodded. "Absolutely." We made our way to a restaurant and sat down. As we waited for our order to come, I brought up the movie, sharing my favorite moments with them. My heart sang with each wave of laughter I pulled from Kasturi. Even Maria seemed like a different person. All the unexplained tension I had encountered before seemed to be nowhere in sight. The waiter brought our food, and Maria and I giggled at the speed with which Kasturi pounced on her meal. She almost ran the risk of burning her tongue with a hot spoonful. Another wave of laughter erupted at the table, but was cut short by Kasturi's phone. Her brow furrowed as she answered. We remained silent, waiting for the call to end. "Sorry, guys," she sighed, ending the call. "Looks like I need to head to college. There's an important lecture I can't miss. Shaurya, can you drop Maria off at home after lunch?" I looked at Maria, and then Kasturi. "Oh, okay." Maria's tension had come back to her in a flash. "You can drop me off on your way to lectures, Kasturi. I'll take my lunch to go." Darling, my college is in the other direction from home. By the time I drop you off and double back, I'll be late. She lifted an eyebrow. Very late. Oh, I swallowed, shifting in her seat and tugging on her shirt hem. A long pause settled over the table, with Mariah and me picking at our food, unsure what to say. Kasturi was rushing to finish her meal, standing as she took in the last few bites. I gave Kasturi an unsteady smile and nod, hoping to reassure her I would take care of her cousin in her absence. She smiled, pushing in her chair. I'll catch up with you both later, Kasturi said, waving as she rushed out the door. This is your first time in Jaipur, right, Mariah? I was trying to break the silence, eager to initiate a conversation. Yes, she mumbled. Well, we should explore the city then. I smiled. Jaipur holds many stories. You may find some artistic inspiration within its beauty. Her eyes came back to me. Maybe you have a point. If you don't want to go with me, you can always ask Kasturi to take some time off and show you some of the sights. I didn't want her to feel forced to be with me any longer than she wanted. But if you want to check some out, I am more than happy to show them to you. It will also allow us to spend some time together and get to know each other better. She didn't seem interested. You know what, Mariah? You are strange but very interesting. I thought this would evoke a positive reaction. All right, enough. Her tone was sharp, her eyes digging into me. I don't want to talk anymore. Stop trying to impress me. Wait, Mariah. Her response shook me. I couldn't let this go on any longer. Listen to me, Mariah. I don't want to hear another word. Mariah's face was flushed, her eyes angry from something I still didn't grasp. I can manage going home by myself. Her chair squeaked as she pushed it back. My body jolted and I grabbed her hand. Mariah? Biting her bottom lip, she pulled her hand back and I let go. Before she could take another step away, before I failed Kasturi, I pleaded, I wasn't trying to impress you or flirt with you. Look, Kasturi asked me to watch over you. She wanted me to help you feel welcome in Jaipur and comfortable while you are here. Mariah, believe me, I was just trying to be a friend. I couldn't even think about flirting with you when I like. You like what? Who? I had her attention. Her eyes were boring into me. Returning the look with a stern stare of my own, I willed my confession to leave my tongue. Because I like Kasturi. What? She blinked, turning her body back towards the table. You like Kasturi? Yes. I sighed, feeling defeated. Please don't tell her. Please. Not a word to her about me liking her. You're serious? Oh my God! She sat back down, her face shifting from tense to a playful smirk of disbelief. Have you told her? No. What are you waiting for? Tell her how you feel, Sharia. No way. I couldn't. I rubbed the side of my jaw. If I tried, I don't think I could talk. Please, Mariah, don't tell her. I won't say a word. She tapped her fingers on the table, mulling over her own thoughts. What else are you not saying? Something important that needs to be voiced? At least you can tell me. Get it off your chest. Perhaps another day. I picked at my food, trying to dodge her newfound interest. I've got my own lectures soon, actually. Let me drop you off at home. She twisted her lips, lifting an eyebrow in response to the wall I was putting in place. Catching her expression, I said, That is, if you're comfortable with that? She laughed, the last of her own wall falling. Yes, let's go. I remained quiet during the trip home. Watching her close the front door behind her, I sighed. A wave of relief washed over me. If she found out I had lied about having class, I would have lost the trust I managed to build with one quick confession. Walking home, my heart fluttered as my voice echoed in my ears. What had been spoken softly had come across my own ears and mind in a scream. I had voiced the words, and now the fact that I liked Kasturi had become tangible for the first time. But my courage fell away quickly, and I strapped my armor back on to hide the secrets in my soul. 16. Mariah's diary. I was so mean to Sharia. Rude, embarrassingly rude. I assumed he was flirting with me, but I was way off base. The honeyed words weren't meant in the manner I had thought them to be. Kasturi had asked him to welcome me here, make me feel comfortable, and Sharia will do anything to fulfill his promise to her. I have my reasons for being quick to judge, but I never saw this coming. Sharia likes Kasturi. I wonder if he's ever talked to her about his dream. Does she know about the empty picture frame in his room? That his mom and dad discouraged his ambitions? Does she know that he sits there in the railway station, wanting to leave Jaipur? I have so many questions for him, so much I want to discover, but he wants to keep it hidden. Maybe my sudden change from foe to friend was too startling. I mean, looking back over those few minutes in the cafe after Kasturi left, I was harsh and then prying. But who could blame me? After all, I've been through so much. I can tell classes were his way of dodging answering anything about himself. He had offered to take me out on a tour of the city only a minute before. I can't help but be interested in this hidden world of his, especially being aware of how much he adores Kasturi. Next time I will confront him about it all. The railway station, the picture frame, his dreams and his love for Kasturi. I had a conversation with Kasturi the other day. I asked her how she felt about Shaurya, being careful not to betray his confidence. Watching carefully, I saw the whisper of hope cross her eyes, before the practical side of her hardened her brow. I do like him, she told me, her words slow to come. But I cannot tell him. Why? I asked my cousin. She smiled sadly. First, I do not know how he feels. We are friends, and sometimes our eyes meet, and I feel a fire kindling between us. But then he looks away, and that flame is doused. You could ask him, I suggested. Or tell him how you feel. Honesty is important. Kasturi shook her head. I don't know if he is ready for that much honesty. I don't know his whole story, but I sense confusion in his heart. I don't know if it's because of me or other complications in his life. I pulled her in for a hug while tears started to streak down her face. I never want to hurt him, Kasturi said. I am afraid that if I complicate his story by telling him how I feel, it might bring more pain to his life. I thought about what Shaurya had told me, and I knew her words would be a balm to his heart. But she also did have a point. If she told him what was locked in her heart, would it help him or hurt him? 17. Shaurya. Like the creature of habit I tend to be, I ventured to the terrace. I wish I could say I was surprised about Mariah sitting there, waiting for me, but I knew she had taken a sudden interest in me after I revealed I liked Kasturi. In fact, as I slowed my steps, she stood up to greet me. She motioned for me to sit next to her, and I shook my head, waving a hand to say no thank you. I need some answers from you, Shaurya, she started. Goosebumps rose on my skin. Go on, ask away. What were you doing at the railway station that day? Her voice gripped my soul, shaking it with her words. I saw you at the station here. When? My eyes broke from hers, searching the ground for anything less threatening. It's been so long since I last went to the station. Lying isn't going to help this time. I know it was you, Shaurya. Her eyes were burning into me with each revelation. You're hiding a lot. Your feelings for Kasturi, the camera and magazines in your room, and even the empty picture frame on the wall. I want to know everything. Why are you keeping so much hidden and left in the dark? I gnawed at the inside of my cheek, my eyes darting from left to right across the ground. My mouth opened, but she spoke up once more. I know I have no right to make this demand of you. I'm sorry, Shaurya. The tone of her voice softened and I met her eyes again. Please know you have no obligation to answer me. I understand if you remain silent. With a deep sigh, I said, It's all right. We are friends. I mean, considering everything, you have the right to ask me. Her lips tightened, anticipating my response for better or worse. I started slow, my emotions unsure if I was angry or too frightened to miss this chance to voice my dreams aloud for once. I have always dreamed about being a filmmaker. Never did I want to be a CA in the railway station. I went there to catch the train to Mumbai, but in the end, I lacked the courage to take even a step towards it. It wasn't the first time I've been there. I've gone many times, failing each time, unable to leave my parents behind. You should talk to your parents then. She was trying to be encouraging. They will understand. Looking away, I shut my eyes tight as if in pain from some invisible stab wound. I wish they would. Have you tried? She blinked. Have you tried explaining it to them? Once. I sighed, the sour memory coming to life again, and I realized that my parents never fought for their own dreams. I ended. I had told her about the moment I confessed my desires to my parents. The empty frame on the wall? I put that there after I realized that fact so I wouldn't forget this life I live now is my destiny. To be happy with the empty life I will live because I have no luck, as my dad made clear to me. No, Shaurya. Mariah's fingers tugged on my sleeve, bringing my eyes to hers. Anyone can follow their dream. I'm proof of that. I moved my arm so her hold on me was released. I need to go. My ears were burning and my heart was breaking. It was a heavy burden to hear myself speak about my hidden desires. She respected them. In fact, what little she did say was encouraging, but I was stuck. My courage mortally wounded by my dad's own words, and my soul left burnt by my mom's lack of belief and support. Why were the only encouraging words falling from the mouths of Kasturi? And now, even Mariah. 18. Mariah's diary. I learned a lot about Shaurya today. I waited for him on the terrace, knowing he would come there at some point. Granted, I cornered him, but I wanted answers. Why were you at the railway station? I asked. He tried to dodge it, but I didn't back down. I like to think I gave him enough respect with my choice of words to let him know I felt he needed to say something, reveal those hidden things about himself. Shaurya has dreamed of going to Mumbai to become a filmmaker. Several times, he's gone to the railway station, trying to work up the courage to run away. That was why he was there that day. I asked if he had talked to his parents, and the story was bitter even to my ears. They lack confidence, and they want him to follow the same path they have chosen. I did my best to tell him he can do anything, despite what his parents may think of him and his dream. It hurts knowing the empty picture frame on the wall is a reminder to himself that he is living an empty life on this path. Shaurya is an interesting guy, and I am happy to have met him. Destiny is a funny thing, and I can't help but feel I am here to help him realize his dream. My dream was to be an interior designer. I fought hard to become what I am today, and now I have plenty of work no matter where I go. Shaurya can do the same, but he just needs to find his courage again. Despite it all, I am feeling much better since I've been in Jaipur. Now that I know more about Shaurya and understand the struggles he is facing, I can breathe easier. Here I feel like I can rise above the skeletons in my own closet and help the lives around me to become richer. I think I have finally escaped the weight of my past, though the scars are still there. 19. Anubhav, Bangalore. Anubhav. I cringed, recognizing any statement starting with my name and in that tone would be followed by another slice into my heart. You forced our hand. I lifted my head from my desk, drool caking my face, and I downed the last sip of whiskey from the bottle in my hand. Forced it to do what? We all hated to have to do this. His eyes fell away, and I sat up in my chair. You were the reason we made it this far, but now. Are you? My face wrinkled in pain. Are you cutting me out? The eyes came back to mine, the heart-wrenching expression on my colleague's face slicing through me. We keep hoping you'll get help, sober up, even try to distance yourself or go on an extended leave. Instead, you show up here, barely able to stand, and spend your days drinking and napping in your cabin. It looks bad for the company, especially, to leave you as someone in charge. I opened my mouth, but then looked at the empty bottle with disdain. So this is it. I'm out for good. I'm so sorry, Anubhav. He watched as I stumbled to my feet, staggering towards the door where he stood. I didn't want to hit you when you were so low, but you're costing the company clients money. I reached the doorknob just behind him. If it were me, I would have tossed myself to the streets long before now. I hope you find salvation soon, Anubhav. A tear rolled down his cheek. You're a good man. You can do better than this. Who could blame them? I was running the company's image to the ground, and worse, the reputation I had developed as a drunken lost soul could be seen smeared across my face. They cut me out before I could do the same to the business name, and if I were them, I wouldn't have waited as long as they had done with me. I wish I could say I wasn't aware of the damaging, self-destructive habits I'd started, but I would be lying. 20. Shaurya, Jaipur. Laughter woke me from my daze as I walked down the front path. Kasturi and Mariah were sitting on the stoop looking over some drawings. I paused, knowing I had avoided Mariah since the day I confessed my painful secret. I swallowed my fear. I couldn't miss a chance to talk to Kasturi. Hi, girls. I walked up, smiling. What are you two working on? Mariah grinned, happy to see she hadn't discouraged me from approaching. We are checking on the best options for Kasturi's room. Oh, great! I was excited to join a conversation where I could show how much I knew about Kasturi's likes and dislikes. Well, be sure to leave room on the wall above her bed. She's been wanting a big photo to go there for a long time. You remember? Kasturi looked surprised. Of course, I nodded and continued, and make a place for an indoor wooden swing. Yes. Kasturi slapped my shoulder, laughing. I was just going to mention that to her. Mariah and I exchanged a look, smiling in secret to one another. Kasturi, Mariah said, I suppose I need to start afresh again. What else do you need? Let me think. Kasturi tapped a finger on her chin, looking to the sky with a thoughtful expression. I think I also mentioned having some sort of stand and pot holder in a corner of my room at one point. That's right. Nodding, I turned to Mariah to explain Kasturi's reason from long ago. She wanted a plant in the corner to bring the terrace to her room. It was her way of making up for not going there as often as I did. Mariah bit down on the end of her pencil a moment before nodding. I can work with that. In fact, I like that idea. A terrace-inspired room. Give me a moment to draw some of it up. I should have invited you over to help us with this. Kasturi hooked her arm in mine and heat hit my cheeks. Shaurya, I had no idea you knew me so well. The grin across my face made my cheeks ache. Kasturi, you're an amazing person. It would be a sin not to remember the things that make you happy. Mariah glanced up, flipping her page around. What about something like this? Oh, I like, blinked Kasturi. I hummed to myself a moment. But it needs more colors. Kasturi is always bright. Her clothes are full of colors that dazzle your eyes. They laughed, everyone taking in the vivid blouse of yellow, orange, and pink that she had on. Perhaps you know me too well. Kasturi nudged herself into my shoulder. But I can't deny I would want more variety in colors. No problem. Mariah paused, taking in the way we were leaning into one another. You two are so cute. We both stiffened, breaking apart, and she laughed at the childish gesture. Looking at one another, Kasturi and I started laughing ourselves. I looked back at Mariah's sketches and ideas. One of the patterns stood out and I took it as a sign. Let's head to Mirza Ismail Road. I motioned for them to follow me. I am pretty sure I saw some pottery with one of those patterns on them. Really? Mariah looked at the page as she gathered her materials up. I would be curious to see it now. Kasturi, can we go? Absolutely, she said. I was thrilled to have earned an outing with Kasturi. It wasn't far to the markets that lined Mirza Ismail Road, where I often rode to and from my classes. There were a lot more items than pottery sold there. Trinkets, food, and various handmade items filled the sides of the road where people traversed from one aspect of their life to the next. Over the sea of bouncing heads, I spotted a mountain-sized display of pottery. First gripped Kasturi's hand, and she in turn grabbed Mariah's, and I led us through the tides of travelers. Oh, I see it! Mariah broke through at last, joining us inside the merchant's hovel. This is so close to what I was sketching. She brought out her sketchbook, pulling a pencil from her hair to sketch the pattern next to her own. Kasturi and I leaned over her shoulders, watching the skilled and knowing flicks that left lines in such a perfect replica of what the pot held. It never seemed to bother Mariah if people watched her draw at such close quarters. Then again, I assumed with her line of work it was required to design and log a customer's wants and needs on the fly and in person. Do you like what you see? It was the merchant who had come to see why we had crowded so intimately over the pot. Can I help you with anything? Yes. Mariah broke away, pushing herself in front of us. I really like this pattern. It's similar to my design and the look I was aiming for. Do you have anything else like that, or maybe close to what I have on this page here? His eyes dropped to her raised sketchbook and he rubbed his cheek. I might have something with those colors. May I see it? She looked over her shoulder at Kasturi and winked. I'm an interior designer from Mumbai. Perhaps we can work out a deal? Come this way. He smiled, leading them further into the inner reaches of his store, where rugs and pottery filled every crevice. I try to group them by color in here, so please take a closer look. Make a list of what you like. Thank you. Mariah kneeled down in front of 3 jars, one larger than the other. Kasturi, look at these. Oh! She joined her, both the girls hovering over the blue and white patterned collection. You think Auntie would want these for her room? She was checking for the maker's name and the price. They are a good price, and the company is well known. Kasturi looked them over before nodding in agreement. Even if she doesn't want all 3 in her room, it would be nice to use them to link the rooms together or even store stuff in the kitchen. Oh, what a great idea. Mariah signaled to the merchant. We'll take these for sure, but we're still looking. I will pack those up while you shop, ma'am. He took them up in his large arms and left them to continue to wander in and out of the shadows of his shop. What about this piece? My eyes had found a colorful decorative pot with a vibrant mantra exploding from its base. These colors suit you, Kasturi. All the purple, orange, yellow, blue, and even silver lines breaking them up, like a kaleidoscope. Sharia, this is a wonderful piece. Kasturi gripped my arm as she leaned in to take a closer look. Mariah, I really would love to incorporate all these colors in my room. Mariah rubbed her forehead and tapped her pencil against her sketchbook. But, my dear Kasturi, that's way more colors than you have walls. I'll have to find a clever way to do that, and not drown Auntie and Uncle with colors every time they step foot in your room. I laughed at the pout Kasturi gave her cousin. She didn't say no. A grin came back to her. You're right, that wasn't a no. Mariah nudged her shoulder. Come on, let's take these other jars back. Now I have some more ideas, and we'll see if he can deliver some of these to me later when I am ready for them.